Hello and welcome back to the channel. It has been a wild week of Warner news and we're in for a little more today. Up in the news today is Warner's earnings report and what is to become of The Flash. So as you know, there were several projects that were announced as canceled or leaked as canceled this week. For one, Batgirl was shelved. Shortly after that, almost the next day, I believe, we found out that Supergirl has been scrapped. And then yesterday afternoon, we had the Warner Brothers Discovery earnings report. So let's get into that. Warner Brothers Discovery had a quarter to forget, or that no one is likely to forget. The newly combined company lost $3.4 billion in its first ever quarter. Of course, that total includes some interesting charges, about $1 billion in restructuring, another $1 billion in transaction integration expenses, and $2 billion in the amortization of intangibles. So in other words, they're reporting a loss of $3.4 billion for the quarter, but they also had $4 billion in charges that they took. So perhaps the overall news isn't quite as bad as it sounds. Now, don't get me wrong, it wasn't great. Wall Street was expecting a loss of about 3 cents per share on $11.84 billion, and what they got was a loss of $1.50 per share on revenue of $9.8 billion. And that is why the stock is getting hammered. So you can see if we look at the stock price today, the stock is down about $3 a share today, so that's not exactly great. Overall, let's look at the week. Yeah, the week you could say, and the run-up, that the stock had been rising. People were positive on this, but in the end, bad stuff happened. They announced their losses in. These things happen, so there's going to be some sell-off in the stock market today, and then it'll likely recover and be just fine next week or slowly recover. In any case, some little information to share here. Obviously, some corporate speak about we're confident we're on the right path to meet our strategic goals and excel creatively and financially. This is, corporate speak. There's nothing of value there, really. Warner Brothers Discovery was indeed having a wild week before reporting earnings. On Tuesday, it came out that Batgirl and Scoob Holiday Haunt were both completely scrapped. This really kind of shook up the industry, though. It shook up the entertainment industry for a couple of reasons. One, Batgirl, the company had already spent $90 million on it, or somewhere between 70 to 100 million, depending on which reports you're hearing. And the other thing is, reportedly, Scoob Holiday Haunt was basically finished. It had some minor things that needed to be finished on it, but it was basically ready to go. And it also got canceled. The Batgirl decision was a particularly shocking one, as they had already spent $90 million on the straight-to-streaming order. Now, after the movie tested poorly with audiences, Zaslav decided he'd rather use it as a tax write-off. So here's what I imagine happened. Zaslav had his hands quite full with a lot of other things going on, and he's been managing a lot with this merger. I kind of feel like maybe the Batgirl thing has been flying or was flying under the radar for him until the test audience scores came back so poorly. Keep in mind, this is test audiences for a film that's going straight to video, basically, straight to streaming, not even going to be released in theaters. And then when it performs so badly, I'm sure he wanted to see it. After he saw it, I'm sure he didn't feel too good about it. Now, there's been a lot of reasons bandied about why this happened. Everybody's mentioning the poor reaction, the poor scores with test audiences, but some other things have been mentioned, like the poor cinematic quality. This was not considered theatrical quality. Another reason why is that for whatever reason, well, I can explain why. Basically, the direction that Zaslav is taking is that he wants to no longer send stuff straight to streaming. His expectation going forward is that all movies go to theaters and then they go to streaming. As a result, this movie is not something with reshoots that could meet the quality. It could not go to a theater. And it was obviously, look, with the plot reveals that came out, this was a woke garbage movie. It was a poor quality movie, and it tested poorly with audiences. I think this guy was left with no other choice. Now, after the movie tested poorly with audiences, Zaslav decided he'd rather use it as a tax write-off. We already mentioned that, rather than use it to attract DC fans to subscriber video on demand service Max, right? I think this is a good move on Zaslav's part. Keep in mind that what he's doing here is ensuring that the brand name around DC is preserved. And it would be a big disservice to fans to try to release this movie and foist it on fans and try and lure them into subscribing to watch this movie, only to have it turn out to be an absolutely terrible movie. This would not only tarnish the DC brand, it would tarnish Warner Brothers, it would tarnish HBO Max if it came out on there, or it would tarnish Discovery if it came out under there, whatever the plans are there. So I really see that Zaslav was left with no choice. He was forced to kill this. So next up, what's going to happen with The Flash, though? The Flash, Warner Brothers Discovery confirms the film will be released. Okay, make no mistake. All of these announcements that everything came out this week should not be a surprise. And it's definitely not a coincidence. For example, the fact that all the leaks around Batgirl, around Supergirl, around this other projects getting canceled right before earnings should not be considered a coincidence. This is an attempt through these leaks to direct the conversation. And of course, that conversation led directly to questions about what's going to happen to The Flash. Now Zaslav can be on the earnings call and he can be the savior and tell everybody everything's going to be all right. No need to worry. We're still going to run The Flash. We're going to release it as planned. Warner Brothers Discovery's quarterly earnings call took place yesterday afternoon, arriving after the fallout of multiple HBO projects being completely canceled rather than being released, and with fans anxiously awaiting to see what will be revealed, including a reveal around Discovery Plus and HBO Max streaming services and what was to become of them. All right, so here is a quote from Zaslav, and this is also very telling. This is what he's talking about, so we should be paying attention to what he mentions. We have some great DC films coming up: Black Adam, Shazam, and Flash. We're working on all of those. He mentions Black Adam, Shazam, and Flash. Those should, as of right now, be considered the tentpole movies that DC is pushing. We are very excited about them. We've seen them. We think they're terrific, and we think we can make them even better. So we might anticipate that there will be edits or even reshoots to all of these films, especially when he's saying we can make them better. But I also think it's telling that he said we've seen them. I guarantee you, once again, he saw Batgirl, and when he saw it, he knew this is not the theatrical quality. This is not what we're looking for. This is a terrible storyline. This plot takes us in the wrong direction of killing off Batman effectively, killing off Superman, and introducing this DCU. The problem is that that's also what the Flashpoint does. Flashpoint was a part of that storyline. So I don't know how they're going to handle that. But an even bigger question is, how are they going to handle Ezra Miller? As you may recall, the film star Ezra Miller has been the subject of multiple bizarre legal inquiries and arrests over the past year. Confirmation that The Flash is still on the way arrives after Warner Brothers, of course, totally scrapped their Batgirl movie, citing that it didn't fit with their plans for the DC in the future. Absolute confirmation that the DCU is out. Zaslav has canceled it. We're going to focus, but there will be a team with a 10-year plan focusing just on DC. We will talk about that more in the future as well. Zaslav did confirm it's very similar to the structure that Alan Horn and Bob Iger put together very effectively with Kevin Feige at Disney. More on that in a future video. Okay, so we can see that the Flash has narrowly escaped the Grim Reaper. We can expect to see, I think, edits and reshoots on all 3 films that were mentioned, and those were Black Adam, Shazam, and Flash. Interestingly, what was not mentioned was Aquaman. I think that's because the decisions around that movie have already been made, that the edits are already underway on that, but we shall see. Right? All right, what do you think about Warner giving the green light to and confirming the Flash is still going to take place? Are you excited for the Flashpoint movie? And I don't know. I don't know how he's going to pull it off. I don't know what the storyline's going to be. If it's still the same, I'm hoping that it's just one of those multiverse sort of... Will it just be like a time travel episode in TV where basically they do a bunch of stuff and they undo it all by the end of the movie? Who knows? Tell me what you think in the comments down below. In the meantime, if you want to continue to smash the narrative, then smash the like, subscribe, and share buttons, and I will see you in the next video. Have a great day.